Hey everyone, and welcome to the Perfect Your Purpose podcast. I'm here with Madalyn, and I almost wanted to say Manzek because that's how I know you.
Okay.
But Madalyn Renicky, we go all the way back to high school, actually. And I was fortunate enough to even model some of her own original designs, which is really why I brought her on the podcast today. So thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
So excited. So tell me a little bit about what started your passion for design and fashion and all that good stuff?
So growing up, I tried anything and everything hobby-wise. Horseback riding, karate, taekwondo, pottery,
Oh my gosh.
all the things to try to find my passion. And thankfully my mom and dad were supportive enough to just let me try anything and everything. And then in middle school, my mom asked me if I was familiar with Vogue magazine and all fashion magazines. I was like, no, because obviously as a little girl, I was interested in dressing up and bows and pink and heels and all the fun things. And then I just got so into it that I then wanted to create these pieces that I saw in the magazine. So I started sewing lessons at 16. And then I just saw this picture not too long ago when I made my own prom dress, and we have a picture together because you had your beautiful red sequin, like mermaid style, and I had like the red satin version of it. So then that really just kind of prompted me to then pursue design school and just, seeing these beautiful creations and then being able to like make them myself, I think was really what drove me to pursue this.
Really cool. And it kind of is mind-boggling to me sometimes because I feel like design, when you're actually making the pieces, takes a lot of like math,
it does,
geometry and things like that. I'm not good at that. So that's fascinating. How did you learn that? And did you obviously made your prom dress and you weren't going to school yet for design. So how did that come along?
I had a sewing instructor. So I had private sewing instructor lessons because Livingward didn't have home ec or anything. So I had to pursue that on my own. So she was great. She went all through design school. So she kind of was able to tell me like, this is what you'll learn. This is what you want. This is what you need to know. And you're right. She was like, there's a lot of math involved. And I was like, wonderful. I almost did not pass calculus. So yeah, I mean, you just kind of learn like what you need to know. You're right. It is a lot of like geometry. It's a lot of, learning about the circle and the radius and the diameter. And there are some patterns that look almost like a circle. And then when you sew it, it creates like a beautiful ruffle. So figuring out how much fullness you want in a skirt, how much you don't, like it all comes down to math. Unfortunately.
It's so interesting. Like the things that you don't realize cross over too. Like you think fashion and you just think like glitz and glam and the beautiful pieces. And then you don't really realize how much goes into like one thing, just one thing. That's so crazy.
Yeah.
Well, so that really led you into having your own beautiful like lingerie line. So how did you get your feet off the ground with that?
So I went to design school at Madison, and we'd always have critiques for our projects. And at that point I was doing evening gowns. Obviously loved watching the red carpets of award shows. I was like, oh my gosh, I just want to create these beautiful dresses and hopefully dress celebrities someday. But then in critique, kind of the feedback I got from my peers was, the kind of styles and fabrics you like to use of like satin and silk and lace all kind of lend themselves towards lingerie. And at that point I was creating a collection inspired by Beyonce, which of course couldn't be. And so then I just kind of like morphed that into, which is now like the original black lace floor length robe, which I think you have modeled many times.
I love it.
And just kind of went from there. I was like, yeah, I really do like working with these fabrics and working with intimates and making women feel beautiful. And then just kind of shared my senior collection on Instagram. And from there got women reaching out, especially brides who were like, oh my gosh, can you make that lace robe in white for my wedding? And then have done a lot of work with like brides since. So it just kind of happened naturally. I never ever thought that I would be doing lingerie. I hated wearing bras growing up. Like I hated that. When you're a little tween, you have to start wearing like
starter bras. I can't. That's a whole nother conversation.
They look like ace bandages, just like so ugly, so uncomfortable. And you're like, just getting used to being, a woman and going through those changes. So I was like, ew, this is disgusting. I never ever thought I would be making beautiful bras and panty sets myself.
So funny. I think about that all the time. I would die to have a little girl someday, but thinking about them going through puberty and having to like talk about periods and how you use a tampon and being like,
I know
you're like, they're so young when sometimes they have to start wearing something so their little, chest aren't in their shirts. It's like, that's really traumatic, I feel like. And there's got to be a better way to like transition young girls. Absolutely. I feel like into that.
Yeah.
And
maybe that's something I need to explore.
Yeah.
A whole line of beautiful trainer bras.
That would be so fun, actually.
Right? And make it like fun and exciting. Because I've also had people reach out about nursing bras. Because same thing, they're just like monstrosities. And at that point, like, again, you're not feeling like yourself. Your body doesn't feel like your own. So that maybe that's a calling of doing like beautiful.
I feel like we figured out a new
trainer bras and nursing bras, like making the ugly things beautiful.
That is really cool.
Okay, I'm gonna have to write that down.
I like that. That's so cool. So I know you two started a fashion blog recently. So what inspired you to do that, and what do you all talk about?
So this is my third attempt.
Okay.
I had started one 10 years ago. I think it was right after I graduated high school going to college, called The Naked Dreamer. I don't know where that name came from.
Fun.
And that was kind of more just lifestyle, just, like talking about different art pieces that inspired me or new shoe collections. And that just kind of trickled off. And then I started again when I was in the heat of doing my designs, and it was designed by Madalyn Joy. And I would wear all the pieces that I would design, not the lingerie, like more clothing, dress pieces. And then that kind of morphed into behind the scenes of all the designs. And then again, that just kind of trickled away. And I think the first two times it was more about like trying to give the audience what I thought they wanted versus like what I really wanted to do. And I think this time is different because I'm doing it just for me. Like I don't get a lot of likes, and that's fine. I do it because there's a piece that inspires me and I will share it. Yeah. And if someone is like, oh my gosh, that's a great outfit, I never would have thought to put that together, then I think that's a huge win. It is. Because I'm just already documenting what I'm doing and wearing and what I'm loving. So if I can share that with other people, that's great. So I think it just feels so different this time because I'm just doing it for me and for fun and to just like get my creative juices flowing again. I love that. And sometimes too, so many of things in life, you have to remember it's not always about the notoriety or viewership or whatever that is, but it's about like, does that bring you joy? Does that fill your cup up at the end of the day? Like, is that just a creative outlet for you to express and speak to things that you love? And I even think like with my podcast, that's totally what I was getting at too, is just, I love talking to people and I love like people have such interesting stories to me, and I just like want to share them. And I want other people to be able to connect with it. And if it's just one person that listens to this conversation today and like is inspired to go chase their dream of being in fashion, like, yay, that's like awesome. So absolutely. I really like that. Yes. And like you said, it's just been a great creative outlet. And I have to give a shout out to my photographer, Dominica Fitzgerald. She's local. Okay. And she's just great. And it's same thing for her. She's amazing and talented wedding photographer and also does family sessions, but she's like, this is just something fun and different out of my normal wheelhouse. And again, just gets her like thinking with her creative juices as well. So it's like, sometimes you do just have to do those passion projects. Yeah. And then, who knows what might come from it. But in the meantime, you're just having fun. I like that. I feel like with women and following your dreams and all of those things, so often, like two things come to mind. I've dealt with it, but imposter syndrome and just limiting beliefs in general, like in yourself and your abilities. And have you dealt with that? And like, how have you navigated those things? For sure. Both have been a huge part of my career. And like you said, I sadly think it affects women more. I think men just have this confidence about them, and no matter what they do. They shouldn't have it, but they have it. Like I saw this great reel the other day, and it was this woman talking about, so many people who are in powerful positions aren't the most qualified. Very true. And we tend to forget that. They just have the confidence that they can do it. And some of us, I know myself included, I'll be like, well, I haven't done this, or this, so I'm not even going to try for this opportunity. Right. Whereas like, you don't know until you try. So, so currently I'm working a lot on mindset. And I think that's a huge aspect because even though I do have the technical training, like sometimes that can hold you back. Like, oh gosh, like I want to make this new design, but like I've never created a pattern like this before. I don't know how to do it. And so instead of just like stopping yourself, just thinking, okay, well, it's an opportunity to learn something new. And if I fail, like that's okay. And again, it's like that cliched saying of like, even if you like shoot among the stars, and even if you miss, how does that one go or something?
I know.
Oh, shoot for the moon, and if you miss, you'll land among the stars.
I know what you're talking about.
So it's like, even if I try and fail, like I'm farther along than I was before. So I think just, knowing your self-worth and knowing that you are providing value, and just having a can-do attitude, which is easier said than done. But really just trying to focus on that mindset piece has been huge.
Yeah, that's so true. I think mindset in so many things in life is tough, like, right? Even
for sure
on your daily, maybe like projects that you don't love to do, or you're not like, waking up like overjoyed to work on something. Like you can't love every single thing you do every single day. So I feel like mindset in general is just like such a big piece of life, and like learning to succeed in life too, because you look at people who are super successful and you just see that finish line for them, but you don't see all of the hard work and all of the things they did before that. And I think that's like something to just be talked about more, because social media totally paints a picture of like
overnight success.
And
it's not.
No.
At all.
Can you speak to your journey a little bit about that?
I do have a question though. Have you seen Full Swing yet? The new golf documentary on Netflix?
Yes, John and I started watching it.
Okay, that really is eye-opening, because I've been a huge golf fan, and so has been eye-opening how much hard work goes in behind it.
That is very true.
I don't know if you saw that episode yet with Matt Fitzpatrick.
I'm on that one right now.
Okay, so he literally records every shot at the range. That's just practice. That's not even, golfing a full 18. He has notebooks, bins from 15 years worth.
That's crazy.
Like I think he says like over 70,000 shots he's recorded. So he has like these spreadsheets of all this data and analytics, so he can figure out how to just be 1% better.
That's so crazy.
Like, and just watching him, you would never know that. So I feel like a slacker now. I'm like, I'm not even.
Oh God, what am I doing today?
He's recording everything for over a decade. So, in regards to myself, with all of the hard work, social media makes it look so easy, and it makes it look like you should just be able to just like whip it all together, and it's like perfect, and it's not. And so I've been doing this for over a decade now, and there is, like you said, just so much that goes into it. So the whole design process of having inspiration, getting an idea, sketching it, draping it on the form, creating the pattern, tweaking the pattern with all the math and all the numbers, figuring out what's wrong, why things aren't matching, creating a sample, tweaking the sample, making out of the final fabric, doing the final fittings. There's so much that goes into just one piece. And with Fashion Week going on, you see these beautiful garments on the runway, and I love the fashion documentaries because they show everything that goes into one look. You see it, you're like, I don't like it. And you're like, but no, you know everything that went into that, of the multiple fittings and the models, coming at midnight the night before the show to do the final fittings, and the seamstress staying there all night to do the hem and do the beading and all the final details. So for some reason in the fashion industry, everything is always down to the last minute, because there are just like so many details.
That's crazy
to account for. So
it reminds me a lot of events. Like, even though you want everything to go perfect and you like plan for everything, something can always still go wrong. Or just
absolutely
be a mishap.
And no matter how much planning you do too, like it can be out of your control. So so I think just having all that hard work put in beforehand, so you can learn to adapt to those changes, is also helpful.
It's so true. Well, I am going to wrap this one up, but I think we're going to have a part 2. So stay tuned.
Let's do it.